The explosion tore through the Keeler's pride without warning. One moment, everything was normal. Quiet bridge, routine operations, the soft hum of systems that had run flawlessly for 8 months. The next moment, hell. Sound and light and fury erupted from somewhere deep in the ship's belly. Captain Elias Thorne was thrown from his chair, his head cracked against the deck. Stars danced across his vision. Around him, the crew scrambled as the ship bucked and twisted like a living thing in pain. Emergency lighting kicked in. Red, the color of blood and warning. Damage report. Elias pulled himself up, tasting copper. Someone give me a damage report. The main view screen flickered online, showing a sight that would haunt him forever. Debris, spinning out into space. Pieces of hull plating, conduits, equipment, and 2 figures in Vorik environmental suits tumbling into the infinite dark. Already dead, already gone. Hull breach on decks 3 and 4. Communications officer Sarah Voss's voice cracked with panic. Engineering sections completely vented. Elias forced himself to focus, to think, to be the captain 12 people needed him to be. 67 years old, 40 years among the stars, and every instinct screaming that this was how it ended. Seal the breaches, emergency bulkheads. Already sealed, Captain. Chief Engineer Mira Kazan pulled herself back to her station, blood running from a cut on her silver forehead. But we've lost Ven and Thessar. They were in the main engineering bay when the core blew. 2 dead, 2 of his crew, 2 people he'd promised to bring home safe. Elias gripped his command chair and forced down the grief. Grief later, survival now. What's our status? Mira's hands shook as she worked her console. Main engine is gone, Captain. Not damaged, gone. Vented into space along with our primary power core and both backup systems. The words hit like a physical blow. No engine meant no propulsion. No power meant no way home. Dead in space in the most literal sense. Emergency systems. Life support is running on backup batteries. Mira pulled up a damage assessment painted in shades of red. We have maybe 43 hours of oxygen. After that, the carbon dioxide buildup will kill us. 43 hours to live. The bridge went silent, except for the soft alarms still crying their warnings. Environmental controls. Heating is already failing, temperature dropping. We might keep life support running, but not heat. It's going to get very cold, Captain. Communications. Sarah looked up from her station, her face hollow. Local comms work. Long-range transmitter is offline. We don't have power to broadcast beyond a few thousand kilometers. So they couldn't even call for help. Couldn't tell their families what had happened. The Keeler's pride would simply vanish. One more mystery in the vast dark. Elias stood slowly, feeling every one of his 67 years. The crew looked to him, waiting, trusting, believing he had answers he didn't possess. All hands, this is the captain. He kept his voice steady through pure will. We've suffered a catastrophic engine failure. We have casualties. Emergency protocols are in effect. Stay calm. We will get through this. The words felt like lies, but what else could he say? He thought of Linnea, his daughter, 38 years old and still his little girl, waiting at home counting days until his return from this final mission, this last voyage before retirement. He'd promised her he'd come back. One more trip to the stars, then all the time in the world together. Promises. How easy to make. How hard to keep. The department heads arrived within minutes. Medical reported 2 dead, 3 injured. Life support confirmed Mira's grim assessment. 43 hours, give or take. 43 hours to find a miracle. Elias called a meeting in the ready room. His senior staff gathered around the small table. Mira, young Corbin Vale, the 26-year-old science officer who still saw wonder in every star. Sarah, Dr. Helen Vask, the ship's physician. 4 faces showing varying shades of fear and shock. Options, Elias said simply. I need options. Silence. Then Mira, I've been over the diagnostics. The engine isn't just damaged, Captain. It's gone. Even with a full repair facility, which we don't have, there's nothing left to repair. Can we jury-rig something? With what we don't have materials, don't have tools, don't have power to run fabricators even if we had materials. She looked down at her hands. I designed that engine, told everyone it was the safest system we'd ever built. And now, this wasn't your fault, Mira. Wasn't it? Enough. Elias kept his voice firm. Blame doesn't help. Focus on solutions. Corbin spoke up, his youth showing in his desperation. What about rescue? If we could send a distress signal, We can't broadcast far enough, Sarah interrupted. Even redirecting all emergency power to the comms array, we might reach a few million kilometers. That's nothing out here. This is empty space, no trade routes, no traffic. The odds of someone passing close enough to hear us are astronomical. We're as alone as it's possible to be, Dr. Vask added quietly. Outside the window, stars burn cold and distant, indifferent to 12 lives dying in the darkness between them. There has to be something, Corbin insisted. We can't just sit here and wait to die. We could send the signal anyway, Sarah said, even with limited range. It's a chance, a dangerous chance, Mira's voice was heavy. You know what kind of ships patrol these outer sectors? Pirates, raiders, the krill. Everyone knew about the krill, massive, cruel. They didn't just steal cargo, they took prisoners, sold them as slaves. The Vorik, with their intelligence and physical weakness, were considered valuable merchandise. If we send a signal and the wrong people hear it, Mira trailed off. They'll find us helpless, Dr. Vask finished, unable to run, unable to fight. Elias had thought about this exact scenario for 30 years, ever since his mentor, Captain Valen, had faced the same choice. Valen had sent a distress call. Pirates found him first. The entire crew vanished. Elias had searched for years, never found even a trace. The fear had haunted him for 3 decades, and now the choice was his. Captain, Sarah's eyes were too old for 34 years. What do we do? Elias thought of Linnea, of the promise he'd made, of the daughter who'd already lost her mother and couldn't lose him too. If he did nothing, she'd never know what happened, would search for him the way he'd searched for Valen, would never find peace. But if he called out and monsters answered, I need to think, he said. Give me an hour. The staff left him alone with his impossible choice. Elias returned to the bridge and sat in his command chair. Emergency lighting cast everything in shades of red. He pulled up the photo he kept on his personal display. Linnea at her graduation. Pride and joy in every pixel. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. Captain. Corbin stood nearby, clutching a data pad. I was reviewing sensor logs from before the explosion. I found something you should see. Elias took the pad. Old signals scrolled across the screen. Electromagnetic echoes left by ships passing through this region. There's been traffic here, Corbin explained. Not recent, but within the last few years. At least a dozen different vessels. Pirates. Maybe, but look at this one. Corbin pointed to a specific pattern. This signature is human. Elias felt his pulse quicken. How old? 3 years. And Captain, it's not a transit signature. It's a distress beacon. A human ship. In distress. 3 years ago. Right here. Can you decode it? Corbin worked the controls. Static filled the bridge, then cutting through the interference, a voice. Human, female, strained but determined. Repeat, this is the UES Valor. We are under attack by unknown raiders. Civilian transport is damaged and cannot jump. We are moving to intercept. All ships in range, please respond. We are protecting civilians. If you receive this message, tell our families. Tell them we tried. The signal degraded and cut off. Silence. That's all there is, Corbin said quietly. The beacon stopped after that. No follow-up, no indication of what happened. They were protecting civilians. Elias played it again, heard the acceptance in that voice. They knew they might die, but they stayed anyway. Stories say humans are monsters, Corbin said, but that didn't sound like a monster. That sounded like a hero. Elias stood and walked to the view screen. Somewhere out there 3 years ago, a human crew had made the same choice he faced now. Protect the vulnerable or save themselves. They'd chosen to protect, chosen to fight, chosen to broadcast their final message into the dark. They tried. Captain, what are you thinking? Elias looked at the young officer, at the hope in his eyes. I'm thinking, he said slowly, that if humans were willing to die protecting strangers, maybe there's still honor in this galaxy after all. He touched his communicator. All hands, this is the captain. In 30 minutes, we're sending a distress signal. Full emergency broadcast. If there's anyone out there who can help us, we're going to give them the chance. Sir, Mira's voice came through uncertain. Are you sure? No, Elias admitted, but doing nothing guarantees we die. This way at least we have hope. The next 30 minutes passed in preparation. The distress signal was coded with everything a rescuer would need. Their position, their status, the fact that they had injured crew in limited time, the fact that they were desperate and helpless. Elias stood on the bridge surrounded by 11 faces looking to him for leadership, for hope. Beacon is ready, Captain, Sarah reported. On your order. This was it, the moment that determined whether they lived or died, whether he kept his promise to Linnea or broke it forever. He thought of Valen who'd vanished into horror. He thought of the human crew who'd died protecting civilians. He thought of Linnea waiting at home. Send it, Elias commanded. The beacon activated, broadcasting their desperate message into the infinite dark, telling anyone who could hear that 12 people were dying here, that they needed help. That time was running out. Beacon is active, Sarah confirmed, broadcasting on all emergency frequencies. Now what? Corbin asked. Now we wait, Elias said, and we hope. The hours crawled by. Temperature dropped. Everyone donned every piece of warm clothing they could find. Breath turned to fog. Ice formed on bulkheads. Elias ordered non-essential crew to the central habitation deck to pool body heat. He stayed on the bridge with Mira, Sarah, and Corbin. Watching sensors, listening for any response. None came. 10 hours after the beacon, Dr. Vass called from medical. Captain, it's Dr. Kess. She's not responding to treatment. The cold her age. I'm sorry. Dr. Kess, 71 years old, the oldest crew member, one last mission before retirement, just like Elias. Do everything you can, he said, knowing it wouldn't be enough. An hour later, she's gone, Captain. Peacefully. She asked me to tell you something. Tell Anna I tried. Anna, Linnea's birth name. Only close friends used it. 3 dead now, 30 hours of oxygen remaining. Captain, Sarah shouted, I'm picking up something on long-range sensors. Large mass signature. Very large. Elias was at her station instantly. We're at 2 million kilometers enclosing, dropping out of hyperspace. Now. The view screen showed a shape emerging from nothing, huge, 20 times the size of the Keeler's Pride, bristling with weapons, scarred from old battles. A warship. Reading the signature, Sarah's voice shook. Captain, it's human. The word hung in the air. Human. The warriors, the monsters from the stories. They'd heard the call. They'd come. Salvation or doom. They're hailing us, Sarah whispered. Elias straightened his uniform. Put them through. The view screen changed. A human bridge appeared, busy, loud, people moving with purpose. Everything ready for battle or slaughter. A figure stepped into frame. A human female. Short dark hair, brown eyes, strong features, dark uniform. When she spoke, her voice was firm and clear. Keeler's Pride, this is the U.S. Defiant. I am Commander Raina Ashford. She leaned forward. We received your distress call. What is your status? Do you require immediate medical assistance? Elias opened his mouth, closed it. The question was so direct, so focused. Not a demand, not a threat. Are you hurt? Do you need help, Captain Thorne? The commander's expression shifted to concern. Can you hear me? Yes, Commander. Elias found his voice. This is Captain Elias Thorne of the Vorik research vessel Keeler's Pride. Our main engines have failed. Life support is... We have approximately 30 hours of oxygen remaining. Understood. Ashford turned off screen. Cole, get the emergency life support packages ready. Make sure they're compatible with Vorik physiology. Ready to transfer in 30 minutes. She turned back. Captain Thorne, do you have injured crew members? 3 dead, 2 from the explosion, 1 from the cold, 3 others with minor injuries. Something softened in the commander's expression. I'm sorry for your losses, Captain. We're going to help you. My crew is preparing emergency supplies right now. Heat, air, medical support, whatever you need. Elias felt his world tilt. This wasn't how this was supposed to go. You're going to help us? Ashford looked surprised, then sad. Of course we're going to help you, Captain. You sent a distress call. That means you need help. What else would we do? Mira leaned close and whispered urgently, Captain, this could be a trick. Everyone knows humans are dangerous. The commander must have heard. I understand your concern. You don't know us, and our reputation here probably isn't good. But we're not here to harm you. We're here because you asked for help, and we can give it. On the human bridge, crew members moved with practiced efficiency. No weapons readied, no boarding parties, just rescue preparations. Commander Ashford, Elias said carefully, what do you want in return? The human looked genuinely confused. In return, nothing, Captain. You need help. We can provide it. That's enough. But we have nothing to offer. No trade goods, no technology you don't have. We're just scientists. So, Ashford shrugged. Ash shrugged. Your people, you're in danger. We can help keep you alive. Why would we need more reason than that? Sarah monitored the ship's movements. Captain, they're approaching, but they haven't powered weapons. Shields are down. They're in a rescue configuration. Commander Ashford, Elias said slowly, I don't understand your people. What's not to understand? Someone needs help. We can give it. That's what we do. Someone called out on the human bridge. Rodriguez, how long until we can establish physical connection? 30 minutes, Commander? Good. Get engineering teams ready. I want emergency power flowing to their ship as soon as possible. Ashford looked back at the Vorik crew. Captain Thorne, we're going to attach our ship to yours and share our power systems. This will give you heat and air while my engineers assess your damage. Is that acceptable? You would do this for strangers. You're not strangers anymore, the human said simply. You're people who need help, and helping people is what we do. Elias felt something crack inside. 30 years of fear, 30 years of believing the stories about human cruelty, 30 years of teaching others to be afraid. And this human stood on her bridge talking about helping like it was the most natural thing in the world. Commander, thank you. We accept your help, gratefully. Then let's get to work. Ashford smiled for the first time. It transformed her face. My chief engineer is the best in the fleet. If anyone can get your ship running, it's Marcus Brennan. You're going to be fine, Captain. I promise. The screen went dark. Elias sat heavily. His hands shook. From cold, yes, but also from realization crashing down. They're really going to help us, Corbin whispered. The humans. They're actually going to help. Sir, I'm detecting movement. Wonder filled Sarah's voice. The Defiant is maneuvering into position. They're extending a docking bridge. They're really doing it. Through the view screen, Elias watched the massive warship approach. It moved with surprising grace. Gentle, careful, like it was afraid of damaging the smaller vessel. Lights appeared along its hull, warm lights, welcoming lights, and extending from its side a physical connection, a lifeline, salvation stretching across the void. Establishing connection, Sarah reported. Docking seals, locked. They're requesting permission to activate the passage. Granted, Elias said. Let them in. Thunder echoed through the ship. Not destruction, construction. The sound of two vessels joining, of help arriving, of hope realized. Captain, I'm reading power transfer from the Defiant. Mira's voice cracked. They're sharing their reactor. We have power, real power. Heating systems coming online. Life support stabilizing. Warmth, blessed warmth flowing through the vents. Ice on bulkheads melting. Incoming transmission, Sarah said. Audio only. Someone named Marcus Brennan. Put him through. A male voice filled the bridge. Older, gruff, kind underneath. Keeler's Pride, this is Chief Engineer Marcus Brennan. My teams are ready to come aboard and assess damage. We're bringing emergency supplies, hot food, and medical equipment. Permission to board. Permission granted, Elias said. And thank you. No thanks needed, Captain. This is what we do. Brennan out. Mira looked at Elias with tears on her silver face. They're saving us. The humans we were afraid of. They're saving us. Elias thought of Commander Ashford's confusion when he'd asked what she wanted in return, the simple statement echoing in his mind. You're people who need help, and helping people is what we do. Maybe, Elias said quietly, maybe the stories were wrong. The next hour transformed the Keeler's Pride. Human engineers came aboard with equipment and supplies. They moved efficiently but gently conscious of Vorik fear. They brought heaters. They brought food, real hot food. They brought kindness. Elias watched Marcus Brennan direct his teams, a broad man in his late 40s, uniform stained with work, hands calloused from decades of labor, moving like someone who'd spent his life fixing things. Captain Thorne, Brennan approached, wiping grease from his hands. Got a preliminary assessment. Want to talk somewhere private. In a small conference room, Brennan pulled up holographic schematics highlighting damage in red. Not going to sugarcoat it. Your main engine is gone. Completely. The explosion vented your entire engineering section. He zoomed in. But good news, hull integrity is solid everywhere else. Power distribution intact. Your crew did excellent work with emergency protocols. You saved lives, Captain. Can you repair the engine? Brennan rubbed his jaw. Repair no. Replace maybe. The Defiant carries fabrication equipment. If we can manufacture key components, and if your systems are compatible with our power cores, we might get you moving. How long? 4 hours minimum, more likely 6, maybe longer. Hope flickered. That's possible then. We're going to try our damnedest. Brennan leaned back. Your engineer, Mira Kazan, she's brilliant. The engine design you had was elegant, really elegant. When we get you home, I'd love to talk theory with her. Some efficiency principles could revolutionize our systems. You want to learn from us? Why not? Good ideas are good ideas, regardless of where they come from. Brennan stood. I should get back to work. But Captain, you should know something. Commander Ashford. She doesn't give up, ever. If she says we're getting you home, we're getting you home. After Brennan left, Elias sat processing, adjusting to a reality that didn't match anything he'd been taught. The intercom chimed. Captain, this is the bridge. We have a situation. Peace shattered. What kind? Long-range sensors detected new contacts. Multiple ships, unknown configuration, headed this way. He was moving before the sentence finished. Sarah looked up as he entered, her face pale. 3 ships, Captain, large, military grade. They dropped out of hyperspace 4 million kilometers out. Can you identify them? Working on it. Configuration doesn't match Vorik or human designs. Weapon signatures are extensive. These are warships. Mira pulled up tactical. Intercept course, 90 minutes until they reach us. Have they made contact? No, sir, they're just coming. Elias touched his communicator. Commander Ashford, are you seeing this? The commander's voice came back immediately. We see them, Captain. 3 vessels. Krill design, if I'm reading correctly. Krill, ice through Elias's veins. They detected our beacon, Ashford continued, or detected us responding to it. Either way, they know we're here. Commander, the Defiant can still jump to hyperspace. You're not trapped. You can leave before they arrive. A pause, then. Captain Thorne, please report to my bridge. We need to talk. 5 minutes later, Elias stood on a human warship bridge for the first time. Overwhelming, screens everywhere, crew moving with precision, weapons displays showing firepower that could level cities, a machine built for war, and in the center stood Commander Raina Ashford. Captain Thorne, she gestured to tactical, showing approaching Krill vessels. 3 Dreadnought-class warships, heavily armed. Their crews are known for violence and cruelty. They trade in slaves and stolen technology. I know what the Krill are, Commander. Then you know what happens if we're not here when they arrive. Elias looked at the floor. They'll take my crew, sell us as slaves. We're valuable, intelligent, easily controlled. That's not going to happen. Commander, you should leave. You've already saved our lives. You've done more than enough. Ashford was quiet. Then, how long do your engines need? Chief Brennan estimates 4 to 6 hours minimum. And the Krill will be here in 90 minutes. Yes. So if we leave now, your ship still can't run. You'd be helpless when they arrive. That's not your problem, Commander. Isn't it? Ashford faced him fully. Captain, are you asking me to abandon you? I'm telling you we understand. You came to help, and you did. You gave us heat and air and hope. You tried to repair our engines, but now there's danger and you have your own people to think about. And what about your family? You have a daughter, don't you, Linnea? Elias's breath caught. How do you know her name? Your personal log was broadcasting on an open channel. We heard some before you knew we were here. You promised her you'd come home. I did, and I meant it. But that's not your responsibility. Ashford looked at him with an unreadable expression. Captain Thorne, let me ask something. If our positions were reversed, if my ship was broken and yours could run, what would you do? Elias thought about it. His people were scientists, not fighters. No weapons, no combat training. But if they could help, we would try to help you, he said quietly. Then you understand. Commander, that's not the same. You're warriors. This is what you do. We're just what? Just people, just lives that matter. Ashford turned to her crew. All hands, this is the commander. We have Krill Raiders incoming. Our new friends on the Keeler's Pride cannot run yet, so we're not running either. She paused. All hands prepare for battle. We have people to protect. Elias stared. You can't be serious. There are 3 of them. Your ship is powerful, but... Captain, you're wrong about one thing. Ashford looked at him one final time before turning to her stations. You're not nothing to us. You're people who need help. And protecting people who need help is exactly what the Defiant was built for. She moved to her command chair, pulled up tactical displays. Now, if you'll excuse me, Captain, I have a battle to win. Elias stood frozen watching preparations for a fight that might kill everyone aboard both ships. A fight the humans didn't have to take, but they weren't leaving. Staying, for him, for his crew, for people they'd met hours ago. Ashford glanced at him once more. Captain Thorne, you should return to your ship. It's safer there. We'll protect you, I promise. As Elias made his way back through the docking passage, he heard the commander's voice echoing across her bridge. Calm, certain, unafraid. All stations report ready status. Time to contact 87 minutes. Let's show these raiders what happens when they threaten people under our protection. Elias returned to the Keeler's Pride and collapsed into his chair. His crew looked at him with questions. The humans are staying, he said simply. They're going to fight 3 Krill warships to protect us. Why more? Mira whispered. Elias thought of Ashford's face. The simple, unshakable belief that helping people was reason enough. Because, he said softly, that's what they do. Through the view screen, he could see the Defiant maneuvering into position, placing itself between the Keeler's Pride and the approaching raiders. A shield, a guardian, a promise made by strangers who'd become something else. 87 minutes until the Krill arrived. 87 minutes until Elias learned whether the stories about humanity had been completely wrong. The longest night of his life was far from over. 87 minutes became 86, then 85. Elias watched the countdown with numbness that had nothing to do with cold. The human ship had given them heat, light, hope, but hope came with a price, and that price maneuvered into defensive position between his vessel and 3 incoming Krill warships. Through the view screen, the UES Defiant looked impossibly large, impossibly powerful, and impossibly alone. Captain, I'm monitoring human communications. Sarah's fingers danced across her console. They're running battle drills, testing weapons, coordinating shield harmonics. They're actually preparing to fight. Of course they are, Mira said softly. They said they would. But why? Corbin turned from his station, young face twisted with confusion. They could jump to hyperspace right now, be gone before the Krill know they were here. Why risk death for us? Elias had no answer. He'd spent 67 years learning the galaxy's rules. The strong prey on weak. Everyone looks out for themselves. Trust is luxury reserved for your own kind. Truth's as fundamental as gravity. And in 2 hours, a human commander had shattered everyone. Incoming transmission from the Defiant, Sarah said. Commander Ashford requesting to speak with you, Captain. Put her through. The view screen shifted to the human bridge. The change from an hour ago was stark. Battle stations manned, tactical displays glowing red and gold, crew moving with focused intensity. This was what the Defiant was built for. Commander Raina Ashford stood at the center studying a holographic battlefield display. She looked up as connection established. Captain Thorne, status update. Chief Brennan reports he can get your engines operational at 60% power within 4 hours. You'll be able to maneuver. Not jump yet, but move. That gives us options. 4 hours, Elias repeated. The Krill will be here in 84 minutes. I'm aware, which is why I need you to do something for me. Anything. Keep your crew calm, keep them safe, and trust that we know what we're doing. She paused. We've fought the Krill before. We know their tactics, their weaknesses. We're going to protect you, Captain. That's a promise. Elias wanted to ask how she could be certain. Wanted to point out 3 against 1 mathematics. Wanted to beg her to save herself. But something in her eyes stopped him. Certainty beyond confidence. Determination bordering on sacred duty. Commander, he said instead, why are you really doing this? Ashford was quiet. Then I lost people once. People I should have saved. People who called for help that came too late. Her jaw tightened. I won't let that happen again. Not while I'm still breathing. The transmission ended. Elias sat back processing. The commander wasn't fighting for glory or profit or even ideals. She was fighting because she'd failed someone before. Fighting to redeem a past she couldn't change by saving a future she could. Fighting for ghosts and guilt and desperate need to be better than her worst moment. Captain, Corbin's voice pulled him back. Permission to speak freely. Granted, Bon. I want to help, we all do. The young officer gestured at the bridge crew. The humans are going to fight for us. Risk their lives. We can't just hide while they die. What would you have us do? We're not soldiers. We have no weapons, no combat training. We're scientists, sir. We have minds, knowledge, skills they might need. Elias looked at his crew, faces too young or old for war, bodies built for research, not battle. The Vorik were everything the Krill weren't it, weak, fragile, helpless in real fights. But Corbin was right. They weren't useless. Sarah, can you establish direct link to the Defiance tactical systems? I think so, yes. Why can you? Because our sensors are more sophisticated, our predictive algorithms more advanced, our communication analysis cutting edge. Elias stood feeling purpose crystallize. We can't fight, but we can help them fight smarter. Hope flickered across young faces. Mira looked up. Captain, if we integrate our systems with theirs, we become targets, I know. We're already targets, Mira. At least this way we're useful. He touched his communicator. Commander Ashford, this is Captain Thorne. I have a proposal. 73 minutes to contact. Elias stood on the Defiance bridge again. This time with Corbin and Sarah each carrying data pads loaded with Vorik sensor protocols. Commander Ashford studied the information with sharp attention. You can predict attack patterns based on engine harmonics. With reasonable accuracy, Corbin explained. Krill ships use brute force propulsion. They leave distinctive energy signatures when maneuvering. Our algorithms can analyze those signatures and project their next tactical positions 3 to 5 seconds before they arrive. 3 to 5 seconds. Lieutenant David Park, the first officer, shook his head. That's an eternity in combat. Exactly. Ashford turned to tactical. Rodriguez, can we integrate their sensor feed into targeting? The young woman at weapons nodded. Give me 20 minutes, Commander. You have 10. Ashford looked at Sarah. And you can decrypt Krill communications. Not decrypt exactly, Sarah said, but I can identify command patterns. When they're coordinating attacks, repositioning, about to fire. The Krill use very regimented protocols. Predictable. Predictable is good. Predictable we can exploit. Ashford crossed arms thinking. Captain Thorne, if we do this, your people will be directly involved in combat operations. That's a line you've never crossed. I know. The Krill won't see distinction between human crew and Vorik consultants. If we lose, if they board. I know, Elias repeated. But Commander, you're fighting for us. The least we can do is help you fight smarter. Something shifted in Ashford's expression. Respect, perhaps. Recognition. One captain understanding another. All right, Rodriguez Park, get them integrated. Make it happen. She turned to Elias. Welcome to the crew, Captain. Let's show these bastards what happens when good people work together. The next hour blurred with technical integration and frantic preparation. Corbin worked with Defiant sensor operators, teaching them to read Vorik analytical displays. Sarah plugged into communications, her mind racing to decode Krill transmissions. And Elias watched humans and Vorik working side by side, watched barriers of species and culture dissolve under shared purpose, watched the birth of something he'd never thought possible. Contact in 42 minutes, Park announced. All stations are ready. Ashford stood at her command station, hands clasped behind her back. Calm, centered, ready. Captain Thorne, you should return to your ship now. With respect, Commander, I'd like to stay, if you'll have me. She considered, then nodded. Observer Station 4. Stay out of the way. Don't touch anything. If I order you to leave, you leave. Understood. Understood. Elias settled into the observer position and strapped in. Around him, the Defiance bridge hummed with controlled energy. This was what a warship looked like, preparing to do the thing it was built for. This was what warriors looked like when they chose to stand. 38 minutes, someone called. Through the view screen, space looked deceptively peaceful. Stars scattered like diamonds on black velvet. The Keeler's Pride floating nearby, small and vulnerable. Beyond nothing but darkness. But Elias knew what was coming through that darkness. He'd seen Krill ships before from a distance. Massive. Brutal. Designed for overwhelming force. 3 of them against 1 human vessel. Mathematics simple. Terrifying. Commander, I'm picking up transmission. Sarah's voice cut tension. From the Krill fleet, they're hailing us. Put it through. Let's see what they want. The view screen changed. Peaceful starfield vanished, replaced by interior of a Krill warship. Dark, industrial, ugly, and in center nightmare given form. Commander Varkos stood nearly 8 feet tall, thick gray skin covered in scars from 100 battles, muscles like corded steel, teeth designed for rending flesh, eyes holding no mercy, only cold calculation of a predator who'd never known defeat. When he spoke, his voice ground like stone. Human vessel, you interfere with our salvage operation. Leave immediately or face destruction. Ashford stepped forward. There is no salvage here, Commander. Only a disabled ship we are assisting. These people are under our protection. Varkos's laugh was ugly. Protection. You are one ship, we are three. Mathematics are simple human. Leave now, live to see another day. Stay and die with the weak ones you defend. We're not leaving. Then you are fools. Varkos leaned forward. I give you one chance, one mercy. Abandon the prey and we let you retreat with honor. Stay and we paint the stars with your blood. Elias saw Ashford's jaw tighten, but her voice remained steady, level, utterly calm. Commander Varkos, these people sent a distress call. We answered. That makes them our responsibility. We don't abandon our responsibilities. Responsibilities. Varkos looked genuinely confused. They are nothing to you, different species, different worlds. What are they but meat and metal to be claimed by the strong? They're people. That's all they need to be. For a moment, Varkos stared at the human commander with something that might have been respect, or perhaps confusion at encountering a mind working so differently from his own. You would die for strangers, if that's what it takes. Then you are not just fools. Varkos's expression hardened. You are dead fools. We will carve your ship apart and sell the pieces. We will take your crew and break them in slave markets. And we will make the weak ones watch everything you died for come to nothing. He gestured off screen. The image changed. Video footage. Old. Grainy. But clear enough. Prisoners in cages. Vorik prisoners. Beaten. Broken. Being sold to highest bidder. Faces hollow with despair and horror. This is the fate of those who call on help in our territory. Varkos continued. This is what happens to the weak, to the prey, and this is what will happen to your precious responsibility unless you run. Now. The transmission ended. Silence filled the Defiance bridge. Heavy, suffocating. The silence that comes when you've seen true evil and realized you're about to fight it. Ashford took a slow breath, released it. All hands, this is the commander. In approximately 35 minutes, we will engage 3 Krill dreadnoughts. Our mission is simple. Protect the Keeler's pride until Chief Brennan gets their engines operational. Hold the line. Give them time. Give them hope. She paused. Some of you are going to be scared. That's good. Fear keeps you sharp. Some are going to be angry. That's better. Anger keeps you fighting. But more than fear or anger, I need you to remember why we're here. She pointed at the Keeler's pride on tactical. 12 people are alive on that ship because we answered their call. 12 souls who will go home to families because we chose to help instead of looking away. That's who we are. That's what we do. Another pause. Longer. In a few minutes, Commander Varkos is going to try to kill us. He's going to throw everything at us. And we're going to stand our ground and show him what happens when monsters meet heroes. All stations confirm ready status. One by one stations reported in, weapons ready, shields ready, engineering ready, medical ready, every system, every person, ready to stand, ready to fight, ready to die, if that's what it took. Elias felt tears on his face and didn't care. This was courage, real courage. Not absence of fear, but choice to stand despite it. These humans were terrified. He could see it in faces, hear it in voices. They knew the odds, knew what was coming, and they stood anyway. 28 minutes, Park announced. Ashford settled into her command chair. Then let's use time wisely. Brennan's status on Keeler's pride. Marcus Brennan's voice came through from engineering. Making progress, Commander. We've got basic framework in place. Just need to integrate power systems and run diagnostics. 4 hours is still my best estimate. Make it 3. Commander, 3 hours, Chief. That's what we're buying them. That's what we're holding for. Pause, then, Commander. 3 hours will make it work. Minutes crept by with agonizing slowness. Elias watched tactical as 3 red markers approached. Watched distance counter decrease. Watched moment of truth draw closer with each passing second. He thought of Linnea, daughter waiting at home counting days until his return. Would she ever know what happened here? Would she understand her father died surrounded by heroes, that his last hours were spent watching strangers risk everything for people they barely knew? 15 minutes. On view screen, space remained empty, but sensors told different story. 3 massive contacts. Accelerating. Weapons hot. Shields raised. Coming to kill. Captain Thorne, Ashford spoke without turning. In a few minutes, it's going to get loud and violent here. You sure you want to stay? Where else would I be? Good answer. She smiled slightly. Sarah, any luck with Krill Communications? I'm in their network, Commander. Their encryption is, well, calling it encryption is generous. More like aggressive shouting with extra steps. Sarah's fingers flew. I can hear tactical chatter. They're coordinating attack vectors. Standard Krill doctrine, overwhelming force. No subtlety. Predictable? Very. Corbin, what do our sensors tell us? The young Vorik pulled up complex display. Based on engine signatures and power distribution, the lead ship is their command vessel. Heavier shields on forward sections, likely where Commander Varkos directs operations. Two flanking ships are slightly smaller but faster. They'll try to spread our defenses while command ship hits us head-on. Classic hammer and anvil. Park nodded. We've seen this before. Then we know how to counter it. Ashford leaned forward. Rodriguez, I want all primary batteries focused on command ship. Secondary arrays track flankers. If they spread, we concentrate fire. Force them to choose between protecting their commander or completing the flanking maneuver. Aye, Commander. 10 minutes. Elias could feel tension ratcheting higher. See it in how crew members gripped stations, in how breath came faster, shorter. They were ready as anyone could be for this. 5 minutes. And then with no more warning than that, darkness gave birth to monsters. 3 massive shapes dropped out of hyperspace 2 million kilometers distant. The Krill dreadnoughts were everything stories promised and worse. Hulls scarred from countless battles. Weapons bristling from every surface. Shields glowing with barely contained energy. They looked like hatred given physical form. Contact, Park announced unnecessarily. Everyone could see them. All hands battle stations. This is not a drill. Ashford's voice carried across the ship. Weapons free. Engage on my mark. The Krill ships accelerated, moving into attack formation with practiced precision. Command vessel taking point. Flankers spreading wide. Exactly as Corbin predicted. They're charging weapons, Rodriguez reported. Multiple power spikes. They're going to hit us with everything on first pass. Shields to maximum. Brace for impact. 3 Krill dreadnoughts opened fire simultaneously. Space lit up with death. Plasma bolts streaked across void. Missiles launched in salvos. Energy beams that could vaporize mountains lanced toward the Defiant with terrible purpose. The human ship's shields flared brilliant white as they absorbed onslaught. Elias was thrown against restraints as the Defiant shuddered. Alarms screamed, displays flickered. Shields at 78%. Someone shouted over noise. They hit us hard. Return fire, Ashford commanded. The Defiant's response was symphony of destruction. Main batteries spoke with voices like thunder. Missiles erupted from launch tubes. Point defense systems spun up to intercept incoming fire. Through viewscreen, Elias watched as human weaponry found its mark. Lead Krill ships' shields flashed and buckled under concentrated barrage. Armor plating melted. Hull sections vented atmosphere and debris. But Krill didn't falter, didn't retreat. They pushed forward, trading blow for blow, absorbing damage that would cripple lesser vessels. Direct hit on target 1, Rodriguez called on. Their forward shields down to 40%. Keep firing, don't give them time to regenerate. The battle became brutal exchange. Defiant focused fire on command vessel, while 2 flankers circled like sharks launching attacks from multiple angles. Shields flashed continuously. Hull plating buckled under strain, and people started dying. Hull breach section 7. Damage control officer's voice was tight with stress. Sealing bulkheads. We have casualties. Medical teams respond, Park ordered. Elias watched in horror as tactical updated. Red indicators spreading across Defiant's schematic. Each one representing damage, injury, death. People dying to protect him, to protect his crew. Ensign Rodriguez is down, someone shouted. Medical to port weapons platform. Ashford didn't flinch, didn't hesitate. Transfer fire control to secondary station. Keep those guns firing. The battle raged for 30 minutes that felt like 30 hours. The Defiant gave as good as it got, but mathematics remained brutal. 3 against 1. 3 sets of weapons. 3 sets of shields. 1 human ship standing alone against darkness. Commander Krill are adjusting tactics, Sarah called. I'm reading increased chatter on command network. They're going to focus fire on Keeler's Pride. Everything stopped for a heartbeat. All power to starboard shields, Ashford ordered. Park, reposition us. Put us between Krill and Keeler's pride, nothing gets through. The Defiant maneuvered with surprising grace, putting itself directly in line of fire, becoming shield of metal and heroism. The Krill unleashed everything, all three ships, all weapons, focused on the one point where Defiant tried to protect the vulnerable. Shields failed. Shields down, someone screamed. Hull breaching on multiple decks. Reroute power from non-essential systems, Ashford commanded. Her voice remained steady even as her ship was torn apart. I want those shields back up. We're trying, Commander, but an explosion rocked the bridge. Consoles exploded in showers of sparks. Crew members thrown from stations. Lights failed. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything crimson. Elias tasted blood, felt pain in ribs. But he was alive. Still alive. Damage report. Ashford pulled herself back to feet. Blood ran from cut above her eye. Main weapons offline, Rodriguez reported, voice shaking. We're down to 60% firepower. Hull breaches on 17 decks. Fires in sections 4, 9, and 12. And Commander, she paused, we've lost 12 crew members, 47 wounded. 12 dead, 12 families that would receive news that loved ones died protecting strangers, just like the 3 Vorik who'd died before humans arrived. Status on Keeler's Pride. Undamaged, Commander. Our shields held. Good. Ashford wiped blood from her eye. That's what matters. All remaining weapons continue firing. We're not done yet. Through view screen, Elias could see result of Defiant's sacrifice. One Krill ship was listing badly trailing debris and atmosphere. Command vessel showed significant damage across hull. Even third ship, relatively unscathed, was repositioning. They'd hurt the Krill, but the cost. Captain Thorne, Mira's voice came through his communicator. We need you back on Keeler's Pride. Now. I'm on my way. He unstrapped from observer station. Around him, Defiant's crew continued desperate fight. Wounded officers manned stations. Engineers rushed to patch hull breaches. Medical teams triaged injured in corridors become field hospitals. And through it all, they kept fighting, kept standing, kept protecting. Elias made his way through corridors filled with smoke and emergency lighting, past crew members carrying wounded, saw cost of heroism written in blood and sacrifice. A young human woman was being carried past on stretcher. She couldn't have been more than 23. Uniform burned, leg twisted at sickening angle, but she was alive, medics working on her with practiced efficiency. Tell my mom, she whispered as they passed. Tell her I did the right thing. Elias didn't know her name, didn't know anything about her except she'd been stationed near Vorik's shelter, the one that would have been destroyed if Krill attack had penetrated Defiant's shields. She'd been protecting them, and she'd paid the price. By the time Elias reached Keeler's Pride, his hands shook. Not from cold, not from fear, from weight of what he'd witnessed. Captain, Mira met him at airlock, silver face streaked with tears and engine grease. We have a problem, a serious problem. Show me. They rushed to engineering where Marcus Brennan stood, surrounded by holographic schematics and sparking equipment. The human engineer looked exhausted, burned, but still working. Captain Thorne, he looked up. We've got engines to 60% power. You can maneuver, but there's a complication. He pulled up display showing Keeler's Pride's engine room, or what was left of it. Power transfer from Defiant is keeping us alive, but it's also creating feedback loops in our repair systems. If I disconnect to finish repairs, you lose heat and air. If I keep connection, I can't complete final integration. How long to finish? 90 minutes, maybe less if everything goes perfectly. Brennan wiped sweat. But I need Defiant's reactor output steady for that entire time. And right now, he didn't need to finish. Right now, Defiant was being torn apart. There's another problem. Mira brought up different schematics showing connection between ships. Docking bridge is taking damage from battle. If Krill scored direct hit on this section, it could sever connection explosively. Backlash would damage both our power systems and theirs. Elias understood immediately. Defiant couldn't disconnect safely, couldn't maneuver freely, couldn't retreat even if Ashford wanted to. They were tied together, one ship fighting, one helpless, both trapped until repairs complete or everyone dead. Captain, what do we do? Before Elias could answer, ship lurched. Impact. Close. Too close. That was near miss, Sarah's voice through intercom. Krill are targeting docking connection. Of course they were. Obvious tactical choice. Destroy connection, both ships die. Defiant from system overload. Keeler's Pride from loss of power. Simple, efficient, brutal. How much longer can Defiant hold? Elias asked. Brennan looked at displays, a damage report streaming from human ship. Honestly, I don't know. They're taking a beating. But they're still fighting, still holding the line, still dying for us, Elias thought. He returned to bridge, looked at his crew, faces aged years in the past hour. They'd heard explosions, felt impacts. New people were dying to protect them. Captain, Corbin approached hesitantly. Permission to speak. Granted. We're just sitting here. While they fight, while they die. We're scientists. We're supposed to solve problems. There has to be something we can do, some way to help. Elias looked at the young officer, saw himself 40 years ago, full of idealism and desperation to matter. And suddenly an idea began to form. Sarah, our sensors are still integrated with Defiant's tactical systems. Yes, sir. And our communication analysis algorithms are running. Yes, but can we use them not just to listen, but to broadcast? Sarah's eyes widened. You want to feed them false information. Not false, misleading. Make them think something's happening that isn't. Elias pulled up tactical. Corbin, if we modified our sensor emissions, could we create phantom ship signatures? The young scientist's face lit with understanding. If we modulate output frequency and piggyback on residual energy from battle? Yes. Yes, we could create what looks like multiple ships approaching. Signatures would be weak, but in all this sensor interference, Krill might not realize they're fake until it's too late. Mira nodded slowly. It's psychological warfare. Make them think reinforcements coming. Will it work? Sarah asked. I don't know, Elias admitted. But right now Defiant is fighting 3 ships alone. If we can make Krill hesitate, make them second guess, give humans even a few minutes of breathing room, it's worth trying. Corbin already running calculations. I can have algorithm ready in 10 minutes. Do it. Sarah, prepare to broadcast on all Krill tactical frequencies. I want them to see and hear exactly what we want them to. As his crew worked, Elias contacted Commander Ashford. The human commander appeared on screen, looking like someone who'd been through hell, blood and sweat and determination written across face. Captain Thorne, unless you're calling to tell me your engines are ready, this isn't a good time. Commander, I have an idea. It's risky. Probably won't work, but I'm listening, Elias explained quickly. Phantom ships, false sensor signatures, attempt to make Krill think reinforcements arriving. When he finished, Ashford was quiet for a long moment. Then she laughed. Actually laughed. Captain, that's either brilliant or insane. Possibly both. She turned to tactical officer. Rodriguez, coordinate with Vorik sensor arrays. If they're going to sell this illusion, we need to sell it hard. When those phantom contacts appear, I want us to act like cavalry just arrived. Understood. Yes, Commander. Captain Thorne. Ashford looked at him with something that might have been pride. Welcome to the fight. Let's show these bastards what happens when people work together. 15 minutes later, Corbin looked up from console. Algorithm is ready, Captain. On your order. Elias thought about everything that led to this moment. Explosion that killed his crew. Distress call sent in desperation. Human ship that answered. Battle being fought in his name. All of it leading to this, to Vorik scientists and human warriors standing together against darkness. Sarah broadcast the signal. Let's give them something to worry about. Broadcasting now. On every Krill sensor screen, reality suddenly shifted. New contacts appeared. Multiple signatures dropping out of hyperspace. Distance 1 million kilometers and closing, 10 ships. An entire fleet. Coming fast. Sarah simultaneously hijacked their communication frequencies, broadcasting fragmented messages, sounding like fleet coordination. Baker Squadron confirming vector. Reinforcements inbound, ET, a 6 minutes. All ships weapons free. The effect was immediate. Krill attack faltered. Ships broke formation, repositioning to face new threat. It's working, Corbin shouted. They're buying it. For 90 precious seconds, Krill hesitated, divided attention, pulled back assault on Defiant while they assessed new tactical situation. 90 seconds the Defiant used ruthlessly. All batteries target damaged Krill ship, Ashford ordered. Full spread. Take it down while they're confused. Human warships' remaining weapons spoke with concentrated fury. Every gun, every missile, everything they had left focused on weakest target. Krill ship's shields collapsed. Hull split open, and in flash of white light and expanding gas, it died. 1 down, 2 to go. But Commander Varkos was not fooled for long. They're scanning phantom signatures, Sarah reported. Their lead ship is realizing. Captain, they know it's fake. On view screen, Varkos's face appeared, and he was no longer cold and calculating. He was furious. You dare trick me, the cruel commander's voice shook with rage. You dare make fool of Varkos. I will tear your ships apart piece by piece. I will make your deaths, last days I will... You'll do nothing but die screaming, Ashford interrupted. That's one of your ships gone, Commander. Want to try for two, Varkos roared, an actual roar that seemed to shake communication channel. All ships ramming speed, destroy them both. I don't care about cost, kill them all. Transmission cut off, and space became hell. Two remaining Krill ships charged forward with suicidal abandon. Not firing weapons, not maneuvering tactically, just pure hate-driven acceleration aimed at ramming Defiant into scrap. They've lost their minds, Park shouted. They're going to try to ram us. All power to forward shields, Ashford commanded. Brace for impact. This is going to hurt. Elias watched in horror as two massive warships bore down on Defiant. Watched as human ship poured every erg of power into defensive shields. Watched as Marcus Brennan, still aboard Keeler's Pride, worked desperately to finish engine repairs while world ended around him. Krill ships were seconds from impact when space tore open. New signatures, real ones this time. Ships dropping out of hyperspace with perfect precision. Two human vessels, UES Mumbai, UES Sentinel, and four Vorik defense ships, smaller than human warships, lightly armed by any combat standard. But there, present, real. Leading them all, a voice Elias recognized with shock so profound he couldn't breathe. Father, we tracked your beacon, hold on, we're coming. Linnea, his daughter, his brilliant, beautiful, brave daughter, who'd promised to wait safely at home, had instead gathered Rescue Fleet 8 and jumped into war zone. The reinforcements opened fire as one. Human weapons and Vorik precision combining into storm of coordinated destruction. Krill ships committed to ramming run couldn't maneuver in time, couldn't avoid fate they'd earned, couldn't escape price of threatening wrong people. The battle lasted another 17 minutes. But outcome was never in doubt. 6 ships against 2. Fresh vessels against damaged ones. Coordinated tactics against blind rage. When it was over, one Krill ship was a cloud of expanding debris. Other Varkos's flagship was crippled and drifting. And space was quiet again. Quiet except for sound of Elias Thorne weeping. Because his daughter had come. Because humans and Vorik had worked together. Because in galaxy full of darkness and cruelty, heroes were still real. And because in engine room of his ship, Marcus Brennan had completed final connections moments before reinforcements arrived, had given everything to fix ship that wasn't his, for people who weren't his species. Captain, Mira's voice was soft, you should come down here, to engineering. Marcus, he wants to talk to you. Elias made his way through corridors that felt different somehow, sacred, changed by what had happened here. Marcus Brennan sat on deck of Keeler's Pride's engineering section, his leg twisted at impossible angle, burns-covered arms and face, but he was smiling. Got your engines working, Captain. 90% power. You can jump. You can go home. Chief Brennan. Marcus. Friends use first names. The human engineer coughed. Blood flecked his lips. Learned that from working with Mira. She's brilliant, you know, absolutely brilliant. The things she understands about power distribution, you should be proud. Your whole species should be proud. Marcus, medical is coming. You're going to be fine. Nah. He shook his head. Don't think so, Captain. Took too much radiation when containment field flickered. Did what I needed to do, though. Fixed your ship. Kept my promise to Commander Ashford. He looked up with eyes already losing focus. Tell my kids. Tell them Daddy loved them more than all the stars in the sky. I will. I swear I will. And Captain, tell Mira to finish engine design we were working on. The Brennan-Kazan hybrid drive. She'll know what I mean. Tell her to make it beautiful. Marcus Brennan died with a smile on his face. Died knowing he'd kept his promises. Died surrounded by people he'd saved. Died a hero. And in that moment, Elias Thorne understood something profound. The stories about humans were true. They were warriors. They were dangerous. They were capable of incredible violence. But that was only part of truth. The other part, the part stories missed, was this: they were also capable of incredible love. Marcus Brennan was dead. The words kept echoing in Elias's mind as he stood in the Keeler's Pride's engineering section, looking down at the human who'd saved them all. Mira knelt beside him, her silver face wet with tears. We should move him to medical. Prepare him for whatever his people do with their dead. Elias nodded numbly. Human crew members came with a stretcher, their faces solemn. They handled Marcus's body with reverence, with love. One of them, a young man with red-rimmed eyes, saluted as they carried him away. "He was the best of us," the young man said quietly. "The absolute best." After they left, Elias collapsed into a chair. Mira sat beside him. 28 humans dead," she whispered. 28 people who died protecting Ma on us. How do we live with that, Captain? How do we carry that weight? By making sure it meant something, Elias said. By making sure they're never forgotten. A tone sounded. Incoming transmission. Linnea's face appeared on the small monitor. His daughter. Here. In this godforsaken sector of space where she had no business being. "Dad?" Her voice cracked. "Dad, are you okay? Are you hurt?" "I'm fine, Linnea, but what are you doing here? You were supposed to stay home. Stay safe." "Safe." She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I received your distress beacon. By the time it reached me, you had less than 30 hours to live. What was I supposed to do? Wait at home while you died?" "Yes, that's exactly what you were supposed to do." "Well, I didn't." Her eyes flashed with stubborn fire he recognized from her mother. "I contacted Earth Fleet, asked if anyone was responding to Vorik distress calls in the outer sectors. Found out the Defiant had diverted to help you. Convinced 4 Vorik defense ships to join me. Convinced Earth to send 2 more warships. And we got here as fast as we could." Elias felt his anger drain away, replaced by overwhelming love and pride. "You organized a rescue fleet. I organized a family reunion." Linnea smiled through tears. "You didn't think I'd let you die out here alone, did you?" "I love you," Elias said simply. "I love you too, Dad. And I'm coming over. We need to talk." The transmission ended. Mira looked at him. "She's remarkable." "She's her mother's daughter," Elias said quietly. 30 minutes later, Linnea came through the airlock. The moment she saw him, she crossed the distance and pulled him into a fierce hug. "Don't ever do that to me again," she whispered into his shoulder. "Don't ever make me think I've lost you." "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." They held each other for a long moment, father and daughter, survivors. When they finally pulled apart, Linnea's expression turned serious. "I need to speak with Commander Ashford." "Where is she?" "Still on the Defiant, coordinating damage control." "Then let's go. We have a lot to discuss." They made their way through the docking passage to the human ship. The Defiant looked like it had been through war, because it had. Hull breaches, scorched plating, entire sections dark and vented. But it was still there, still intact, still protecting. Commander Raina Ashford stood in the war room studying damage reports with grim focus. She looked up as Elias and Linnea entered. "Dr. Thorne, I presume?" Ashford extended a hand. "Your timing was impeccable. Another few minutes and those krill would have turned both our ships into debris." "Commander," Linnea shook the offered hand, "I wish we'd arrived sooner. I wish we could have prevented the casualties you suffered." "You arrived exactly when you were supposed to." Ashford's expression was unreadable. "The universe has timing we can't control. All we can do is show up and do our best with what we're given." "I wanted to ask," Linnea hesitated. Why did you do this? Why risk your ship and crew for people you'd never met?" Ashford was quiet. Then she pulled up a photo on her display. An older couple, smiling, happy. 10 years ago, I lost my parents. They were on a civilian transport that suffered catastrophic malfunction. They sent a distress call. By the time help arrived, everyone aboard was dead. She looked at the photo. "I became who I wished had been there for them. Someone who answers when people call. Someone who doesn't calculate odds or weigh costs. Someone who just comes." She looked at Linnea. "Your father called. We came. That's all there is to it." "It's not all there is to it," Linnea said firmly. 28 of your crew died protecting strangers. That's not nothing, Commander. That's everything." "I know." Ashford's composure cracked just enough to show grief beneath. "I know what it cost. Every name, every face, every family that's going to receive notification their loved one isn't coming home. I know." "Then let me ask you something." Linnea stepped closer. "What can we do to honor them? How can we make sure their deaths meant something?" Ashford looked surprised. "Tell people. Tell the Vorik what happened here. Tell them humans and Vorik fought together, died together, saved each other. Tell them that the distance between species is smaller than we think, and that bridges can be built if we're willing to try." "I will," Linnea nodded. "I promise you, Commander. I will tell everyone." 7 days later, they held the memorial service. The Defiant's main cargo bay had been transformed. Rows of seats faced a wall where 28 photographs hung. 28 faces, young and old, different backgrounds, united only in the choice they'd made to stand against evil, united in death. Elias sat in the front row beside Linnea. Around them, survivors gathered, human crew in dress uniforms, Vorik scientists in formal robes. Two species that had barely known each other a week ago now joined in shared grief. Commander Ashford stood at the front, her uniform crisp, posture perfect, but her eyes told story of someone who hadn't slept, who carried weight of every life lost under her command. "We are gathered," she began, "to honor those who gave everything. Not for glory, not for conquest, not even for their own people. They gave everything for an ideal, that all life has value, that all people deserve protection, that answering a call for help is not a choice but a sacred duty." She gestured to the photographs. Ensign Maria Rodriguez, 23 years old. She loved astronomy and making her little brother laugh. She died shielding Vorik crew members. Her last words were, "Tell my mom I did the right thing." Photo after photo, story after story, lives ended too soon, futures that would never come. When Ashford reached the final photograph, her voice broke. Chief Engineer Marcus Brennan, 48 years old, father of three, 26 years of service. He died completing repairs on the Keeler's Pride, died knowing he'd saved lives, died with a smile because he'd kept his promise. She looked at Elias. He died a hero. Elias stood, walked to the front on legs that barely supported him. He hadn't prepared a speech. But standing here looking at faces of the dead, words came. "I am Captain Elias Thorne. I am 67 years old. I have spent 40 years exploring the galaxy. I thought I understood it. The stars, the mathematics, the cold equations of survival." He paused, looking at the photographs. "I was wrong. I'd understood nothing." He turned to face the assembled crews, human and Vorik, living and grieving together. These people died for strangers. They stood against impossible odds for people they'd never met, for people who weren't even their own species. And in doing so, they taught me something I'd spent a lifetime refusing to learn. His voice strengthened. They taught me that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the choice to stand despite it. They taught me that honor isn't about glory or recognition. It's about doing what's right when no one is watching. They taught me that the highest calling isn't to your own people or your own world. It's to all people, all worlds, all life that calls out in the darkness. Elias looked at Marcus Brennan's photograph, at the face of a man he'd known for hours but would remember forever. "Chief Brennan told me that friends use first names. In those few hours we knew each other, he became my friend. And friends don't let friends be forgotten." He addressed the human crew. "I swear to you, your people will not be forgotten. The Vorik will know what happened here. We will know what you sacrificed, and we will honor it. Forever." Mira stepped forward, clutching a data pad. "Marcus and I were working on a revolutionary engine design, a hybrid system combining human power generation with Vorik efficiency. We were going to call it the Brennan-Kazan drive." She held up the pad. "I've completed it. It will produce 3 times the power of conventional systems using half the fuel. And I'm sharing complete specifications with both Vorik Science Council and Earth Engineering Command. Free. No patents, no restrictions. This technology belongs to everyone, as Marcus believed all knowledge should." She placed the pad on a table beside the photographs. Commander Ashford stepped forward. "On behalf of Earth and United Earth Fleet, I accept this gift, and I offer one in return." She pulled up holographic display. "The Vorik Science Council has voted to establish the first permanent Vorik-Human Alliance. Joint exploration, joint research, joint defense. The formal treaty will be called the Brennan Initiative in honor of the man who gave everything to prove that cooperation across species isn't just possible. It's essential." A murmur ran through the crowd, human and Vorik alike recognizing the magnitude. The first true alliance, built not from comfortable negotiations, but from blood and sacrifice, in desperate need to be better than the darkness. Linnea stood and joined her father. "I've been appointed as Vorik representative to the Alliance Council. My first official act is to propose that all human crew members who died protecting Vorik lives be awarded the Stellar Medal of Valor, the highest honor my people can bestow." She produced a box containing 28 medals, each crafted from crystallized starlight, each worth more than most people earned in a lifetime. These medals will be presented to families of the fallen, with a message that their loved ones didn't die as humans or as soldiers. They died as heroes who proved that compassion knows no species, that courage recognizes no borders, that love, true love for all life, is the most powerful force in the universe. The ceremony continued, prayers in multiple languages, songs blending human and Voric voices. And at the end, each crew member approached the wall and placed a hand over their heart in salute, a gesture of respect crossing all species, all cultures. When it was Elias's turn, he stood before Marcus Brennan's photograph for a long moment. "Thank you," he whispered, "for everything, for teaching me the stories were wrong, for showing me what real strength looks like, for being exactly who you were when I needed it most." He placed his hand over his heart, held the salute until his arm ached, and promised himself that the rest of his life would be worthy of the sacrifice he'd witnessed. 3 days later, the ships prepared to part ways. The Keeler's Pride was fully operational, better than operational. Human engineers had made improvements, upgraded systems, enhanced efficiency, left the ship stronger. The Defiant was damaged but stable enough to limp to nearest starbase. Mumbai and Sentinel would escort it. Voric defense ships would accompany Keeler's Pride home, everyone leaving, going back to their lives, their families, their worlds. But nothing would ever be the same. Elias stood in the docking port one final time facing Commander Raina Ashford. They'd been through hell together. Strangers become something more in crucible of shared crisis. "Commander, I don't know how to say goodbye. Don't know what words are adequate." "Then don't say goodbye." Ashford extended her hand. "Say until we meet again. Because I have a feeling this isn't the last time our paths will cross, Captain Thorne." Elias shook her hand, held it. "When I sent that distress call, I was terrified, afraid that monsters would answer. And instead, heroes answered. Real heroes, the kind I thought only existed in stories. We're not heroes, Captain. We're just people who believe that answering a call is the right thing to do." Ashford smiled slightly. "Though I'll admit you made it easier. The way you helped during battle, the sensor predictions, the psychological warfare with Phantom Fleet. That was brilliant. We couldn't just hide while you fought for us." "I know, and that's why this is going to work. The alliance, the cooperation. Because both our peoples understand something fundamental." She released his hand. "We're stronger together." "Commander Ashford." "Raina, friends use first names, remember." Elias smiled through tears. "Raina, thank you for everything, for answering, for staying, for being exactly who you are. Thank you for reminding me why I do this, why it matters." She stepped back. "Safe travels, Captain Thorne. And if you ever need help again, I know, just call. You'll answer." They saluted each other, one final gesture of respect between people who'd walked through fire together. Then Raina Ashford turned and walked back to her ship, back to her wounded crew and damaged vessel and long journey home. Elias watched her go and felt something settle in his chest. Certainty, peace he hadn't known he was missing. The galaxy was still dangerous, still full of threats and darkness. But it was also full of people like Raina Ashford, people like Marcus Brennan, people who stood when they could run, who protected when they could profit. Heroes, real ones, and that made all the difference. 6 months later, the council chamber on Voric homeworld was packed. Representatives from a dozen worlds sat in concentric circles, all facing the raised platform where Elias Thorne stood. He wore formal robes of a chief ambassador, a position he'd accepted despite every intention of retiring, a position he'd taken because the work was too important, because Marcus Brennan had died to build a bridge, and Elias would spend the rest of his life making sure that bridge remained standing. "The Brennan Initiative has exceeded all projections," he reported. "In 6 months, we've established joint research stations on 3 worlds, human and Voric scientists working together on projects ranging from medical research to advanced propulsion. The knowledge exchange has been extraordinary." He pulled up holographic displays showing results. New technologies, breakthrough discoveries, innovations neither species could have achieved alone. More importantly, we've established the Joint Patrol Program. Mixed crews, human and Voric, now patrol the outer regions. In 6 months, they've responded to 47 distress calls, saved over 3,000 lives. Human, Voric, and a dozen other species. Murmurs of approval. "But numbers don't tell the whole story," Elias continued. "The real story is in the friendships being formed, the barriers being broken, the discovery that the distance between species is smaller than we ever imagined." He showed images of mixed crews working together, humans and Voric side by side. "We were afraid," Elias said quietly. "For generations we feared humans. We told stories of their violence, and some of those stories were true. Humans can be dangerous. They can be violent. He paused. But they can also be the most courageous, compassionate beings you'll ever meet. They can stand against impossible odds for people they barely know. They can sacrifice everything for strangers. They can look at someone completely different and see not an alien, but a friend. He showed a final image, a memorial on Earth, a statue of Marcus Brennan, wrench in hand, helping another figure. The other figure was Vorik, was Mira Kazan, two engineers from different worlds working together to build something better. The inscription read, "He answered the call." "This is what we're building," Elias said. "Not just an alliance of convenience, not just a treaty on paper, but a true partnership, a recognition that all life has value, that all people deserve protection, that the highest calling is not to serve your own species, but to serve life itself." The vote was unanimous. The Brennan Initiative would continue, would expand, would grow into something that might change the galaxy. After the session, Elias walked through government corridors with Linnea beside him. "You did well in there, Dad. Very diplomatic." "I meant every word." "I know, that's why it worked." She smiled. "Have you seen the latest enrollment figures for Joint Training Program?" "I haven't." "Are they good?" "I may have, though." "They're extraordinary. More applicants than we can handle. Young Vorik, who want to serve on mixed crews, who want to learn from humans, who see the alliance not as political necessity, but as opportunity." They emerged onto a balcony overlooking the city. Below, life continued normal rhythms. People going about their days, children playing, families together, all alive in a galaxy slightly less dark. "Linnea, I need to tell you something." "What is it?" "I'm not retiring. Not yet. Maybe not ever." Elias looked at his daughter. "I thought I'd done my part, served my time, earned my rest. But what happened out there, what Marcus and all those others did, I can't walk away from it." "I know, Dad. I never expected you to." "You're not angry. I promised I'd come home. Be there for you. You are home. This is where you belong. Building bridges, honoring the dead by making their sacrifice mean something." Linnea took his hand. "Besides, I'm doing the same thing. The Harmony is being refitted as a joint patrol vessel. Mixed crew. We ship out in 3 weeks. You're going back out there. Someone has to answer the calls, and I can't think of a better way to honor what happened than to be the kind of person who answers." Elias pulled her into hug. "Your mother would be so proud of you. She'd be proud of both of us." They stood together, watching the city, watching a future being built on foundation of sacrifice and hope. 3 weeks later, Elias stood on the bridge of a new ship, not the Keeler's Pride, which had been retired to a museum, but a vessel purpose-built for the new era. The VRS Unity, a joint design, human engineering and Vorik science combined, and powered by the first production model of the Brennan Kazan drive, Mira's masterpiece, Marcus's legacy. The crew was mixed, 30 humans, 30 Vorik, all volunteers, all believers in the mission, to patrol the outer regions, to answer distress calls, to stand between darkness and those who couldn't protect themselves. Elias sat in the captain's chair and looked at his bridge crew, familiar faces and new ones. Corbin Vale as chief science officer, Sarah Voss managing communications, Mira Kazan in engineering still pushing boundaries, and beside him in first officer position, Lieutenant David Park, on loan from Earth Fleet, a human who'd chosen to serve on a Vorik-led vessel because he believed in the mission. "All stations report ready," Captain Park said. "We're cleared for departure." "Thank you, Lieutenant." Elias pulled up navigation. Their first patrol route stretched across sectors that had once been too dangerous, that had been domain of pirates and raiders. But not anymore. Not with Joint Patrol Program active, not with ships like Unity standing watch. "Captain, incoming transmission," Sarah announced. "It's from the Harmony." On screen, Linnea's face appeared. She sat in her own captain's chair on her own ship, looking professional and confident and ready for anything. "Unity, this is the Harmony. We're in position at Sector 77 Alpha, ready to begin patrol." "Copy that, Harmony. Stay safe out there." "You too, Dad. And remember, answer every call, I know." He smiled. "Good hunting, Captain Thorne." "Good hunting, Ambassador Thorne." The transmission ended. Elias sat back and took a deep breath. This was it, the beginning of something new. Something purchased with blood and sacrifice, but promising a future worth living for. "Lieutenant Park, take us out. Standard patrol speed." "Aye, Captain." The Unity's engines engaged. The Brennan Kazan drive hummed with perfect efficiency. The ship moved forward, out of orbit, into the black, into the vast unknown where people still needed help. They'd been underway for 3 hours when Sarah called out, "Captain, I'm picking up a distress beacon. Unknown species, they're reporting life support failure. Approximately 36 hours of oxygen remaining." The bridge went quiet. Everyone remembered another distress call, another ship dying in dark, another choice between safety and service. Elias didn't hesitate. "Sarah, respond to that beacon. Tell them we're coming. Corbin, plot intercept course. Maximum speed." "Aye, Captain." The Unity turned toward the signal, toward people in danger, toward strangers who needed help. Park looked at Elias with understanding, perhaps approval. "Captain, shouldn't we wait for backup? We don't know what we're jumping into." "We know enough, Lieutenant. Someone is dying out there. Someone called for help, and we're going to answer." Without hesitation, Elias smiled. Without hesitation. As Unity accelerated toward unknown, Elias thought of Marcus Brennan, of Commander Raina Ashford, of 28 humans who'd stood against darkness and won by refusing to look away. He thought of the memorial statue on Earth, of inscription that had become the motto of Joint Patrol Program. He answered the call. Not just Marcus, all of them. Every person who chose to stand when they could run, to protect when they could profit, to care when apathy would be easier. Every hero who understood that the highest calling was not to serve your own people, but to serve all people, all life, all souls crying out in the endless dark. "ETA to distress beacon 40 minutes, Corbin reported. "All hands, this is the captain," Elias announced across the ship. "We have a rescue operation ahead. Unknown species, unknown circumstances, but known need. Prepare for emergency assistance. Medical teams stand by. Engineering ready life support packages. We're going to save some lives today." Affirmative responses came from across the ship. Human voices and Vorik voices. Different tones, different languages. United in purpose. Park leaned closer. "Captain, I served under Commander Ashford. On the Mumbai. I was there when we came to help the Defiant. When I saw what happened that day, I knew I wanted to be part of this. Part of something bigger than myself." "We're all part of it, Lieutenant. All of us who choose to answer." The Unity raced toward the distress call, toward people who needed hope, who needed proof that the galaxy held more than just predators and prey, who needed to learn what Elias had learned 6 months ago, that heroes are real, that courage exists, that compassion crosses all boundaries, and that when you call out into darkness, sometimes angels answer, angels in form of people who believe that protecting life is the highest calling, that answering calls for help is not a choice, but a sacred duty, that building bridges between worlds is more important than building walls. Angels who stand when they could run, who sacrifice when they could save themselves, who look at strangers and see friends they haven't made yet. Angels who answer. Elias Thorne sat in his captain's chair and watched stars stream past. 67 years old, 40 years among those stars, and finally understanding what it all meant. Not the science, not the mathematics, not cold equations of survival, but warm truth of connection, of compassion, of courage. The truth that Marcus Brennan had died to prove, that Raina Ashford had bled to defend, that Linnea had risked everything to honor. The truth that distance between strangers and friends is just one answered call, one extended hand, one choice to stand together instead of falling apart. "Captain, the ship we're rescuing is hailing us," Sarah said. "Audio only. They sound scared." "Put them through." A voice filled the bridge. Alien, unfamiliar, terrified. "This is the merchant vessel Distant Star. We're dying out here. Is anyone listening? Please, we have children aboard. Please, someone help us." Elias keyed his communicator, spoke with calm certainty of someone who'd learned what real strength looked like. "Distant Star, this is Captain Elias Thorne of the VRS Unity. We hear you. We're coming to help. You're going to be fine. That's a promise, Wetchies." A sob of relief came through speakers. "Thank you. Oh, thank you. We thought we were alone." "You're not alone, not anymore. Help is on the way. Hold on just a little longer." He ended transmission and looked at his crew, at humans and Vorik working together, at the bridge of a ship that represented everything good the galaxy could become. 38 minutes to intercept, Corbin reported. "Then let's make them count. All stations confirm ready status. We have people to save." The Unity flew on through darkness, A ship full of heroes who didn't know they were heroes, who would have laughed at the description, who would have said they were just doing their arms, just answering the call. And somewhere in the great beyond, perhaps Marcus Brennan was watching. Perhaps he was smiling. Perhaps he understood that his death had sparked something that would outlive them all. A movement, an ideal, a bridge between worlds that would stand long after all of them were gone. The Unity reached the distant star 36 minutes later, found a damaged ship full of terrified people who'd thought their final hour had come, and proved to them what Elias had learned, that when you call out into the darkness, heroes answer, every single time.